if you're doing asset protection for tax purposes, that's not what it's meant to be.
The problem with like all that entity stuff though, is there's just so much like bad information out there because people want to, I don't know, sell you on how smart they are at business, but 99% of it is not necessary at all. We get this on both sides with the borrowers, also with like investors that are coming in, they want to set up all these super complex things. And there's always like these fake like tax advantages, which if it's like a single person LLC, there aren't any. It's still your income. You're still paying the same taxes.
It's just income.
So stop believing these Pace Morby dorks and everyone else talking about this like trust structure and shit. It's not real. It's a stupid fucking thing. I don't know. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Collecting Keys. I'm going to keep...
Greg really wants to talk right now, and Mike's just cutting him off.
I'm going to keep talking over Greg. Then you can bring it up. My name is Mike DeHaan, here with my co-host Dan Austin, Dylan Cook, and we got Greg Helbeck joining us here today. If you guys haven't heard Greg before, he's been on with us, 3 times now?
Something like that.
Great friend of the show, super knowledgeable investor out of Seattle, going to hang and talk shop with us today. But anyways, Greg, to your point about the entity structures, sorry, go for it.
Oh, yeah, no, if you're doing asset protection for tax purposes, that's not what it's meant to be. Taxes for taxes. Asset protection is for like anonymity and maybe a little protection depending on how you structure
Completely separate.
Yeah, they're totally separate.
But if you really like talk big game on Instagram, you can tell people the complete opposite, and a lot of them will believe you.
Yeah, yes. Give them fake advice. That's right.
When you pay your tax advisor $1,500 a month, they have to do something, right?
Oh God. And to be fair, that stuff is generally pretty confusing. And the problem is if you Google it, you get taken to like LegalZoom and all these like companies that will like just create it for you. Of course, they will happily swipe your credit card and charge you thousands of dollars to do something that you can do yourself for like $100, right? They will more than happy to continue a templated operating agreement, all those sort of things. If you go and hire an attorney, they will happily charge you $5,000 to go and sign up for LegalZoom for you and do the exact same thing, but with an arbitrage where they're making more money, right? And then if you ask them for advice, they'll be like, well, it depends. Because that's what lawyers always say.
Yes, I signed up for the first one, and it told me I needed workers' comp the first time that I signed up for like a single member LLC, and I paid it for like 2 months because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I was like, oh, this is dumb, and so then I eventually got rid of it. But you just don't know at the very, very beginning.
You don't know.
You really don't. Like the very first like holding LLC, when I started buying rentals, I went through LegalZoom and did all that kind of stuff. And
hell yeah, dude.
I was like, I don't know, dude. That's what you're supposed to do. And they're sending me like applications for like these business licenses and all these sort of things. I'm like, I guess I need a business.
Credit cards.
Yeah, like everything, and there's all these different docs, and they're like, I'm getting these reminder emails every quarter. It's like, make sure you fill out your meeting minutes. I'm like, for what? I bought a single family home.
Who am I meeting with?
But I was like stressed. I was like, do I need to keep track of all this? And then I just didn't. And I was like, I'll figure it out later. And then sure enough, it ended up being nothing.
Main thing they need is the operating agreement. That's the only thing that really matters.
Exactly. And you can now with ChatGPT, you can just like get one and it's really easy.
Whip it out. Yeah.
You whip it out just like your wrench,
Yeah, exactly.
Just like your wrench.
But and then the certificate of good standing. That's it. I mean, if any title company is going to say, oh, need a good standing letter, operating agreement, and that's it.
Yeah.
This is great. You could be a lender. You already know all this stuff.
I've thought about it because this business can be an absolute circus 4 out of 5 business days. So I know you guys did that show. The reason I even asked to come on again, because I love the show so much, is I heard your last episode talking about like when to hold them and when to fold them in terms of this business. I've been doing it. I don't want to sound like an old fuck, but 10 years plus, like every day. And I see a lot of people kind of come and go. Like they come in for 2 years and then they're not even in the industry at all, not even like lending, like they're just out of it. And I just see this. I've been seeing this for 10 years. So it's interesting to see a lot of people come and go and what happens in this business,
You'd be like a 1%er just in business, not just real estate. But like most people fold after 3 to 5 years, no matter what.
Yeah, like in any business.
That's because it's fucking hard. I mean, it's really hard.
Yeah,
it's an absolute dogfight every day, no matter what level you're at. It's crazy.
That's why, there's that old saying you have to love the process. Because, I mean, realistically, if you're in business for the results, 95% of people are better off going and climbing the corporate ladder and just trying to get like a decent job where they make $200,000 a year. $50,000 a year. Because honestly, most business owners make less than that. Sure, you can make more, but to get to that, it kind of sucks. And it's a lot of up and down.
Yeah. And I think a lot of employees don't, like, some of them get it, but when, especially in I know our business super well, like you see the gross margins. Oh my God, you made 70 grand on that flip in profit. But then it's like, well, what about the marketing costs? What about the liability? What about the guy suing you afterwards? What about all the G&A expense? Like there's so much that goes into it and the risk, personal guarantees, like they don't tell you about that. For example, like the guy who works with me, who's been with me for a long time, he makes a couple $100,000 a year working with me. and he's got limited risk, right? Very limited risk.
Yeah. Downside is very limited.
Yeah.
And also that's what you made like today. What they don't see is that you could make nothing over the next 3 months if shit gets weird.
And have all the expenses tied.
And have all the expenses still. I think that's the really challenging thing about business is you do start to naturally elevate your lifestyle. Everyone does that a little bit, but you don't have consistent guarantee of that income going into the future. Even if you have like a very large successful business, you can still go bust after like a bad year.
Totally.
Right? People don't realize that. Like in the different masterminds and stuff that Dan and I have been in, it's been amazing to see the number of people that we knew back in like 22 and 23 that thought they were the king of the freaking mountain.
Yeah.
And now they are scraping pennies together trying to figure out how to survive.
Yeah.
You know, even like big names, like names that people on here would know, are really, really struggling in some capacity. But there's also people that are crushing it and do it every single year. Because you have to constantly be adapting and learning and, you know, being flexible in kind of what you're doing and pivoting and doing whatever else. While also staying consistent and like in some capacity, because if you're not consistent at all, you'll basically just be like, you know, an inch deep in everything. And
totally. I think too, with the, like, if we were just talking about like the transactional business over the assignments or flips, like the problem I see with a lot of people who, I do both. So, I mean, you guys do both. It's like, if you just take on all these flips at once, it's a really good decision in the moment, but the execution and the cash that you're going to burn over the next 6 months is really where you can go down big. And then when you're doing assignments, the thing I've noticed is that depending on how good you are at doing that, let's say most people's cost per deal is like $5,000. Let's just say 5K right now. If you're only making 15 or 20 on that, you know, and you have overhead, you're really going to be having no profit. So then it's like you get into this situation where like the solution to that is you want to do a little bit of both, in my opinion, but then you also really need to know your numbers. And you got to understand too, like if you're spending 20 grand a month on marketing, that's really got to get you 4 deals or else you're not going to be that profitable, right? If that's only getting you 1 deal or a deal and a half, 2 deals, you don't think you're running out of money, but you really are. And that's where I see a lot of people try to like ramp up this business to do, you know, let's call it 60, 70, 100 transactions in a year. And they get themselves in big trouble. And the guys that I know who make the most money most of the time are guys doing like 30 to 40 deals, maybe 50. And they're well capitalized. They don't have a ton of overhead. Like they may have some overhead, but they're not these giant businesses that are just transacting all these deals, because that's where I see a lot of the bigger guys and end up scaling down eventually in this industry.
Yeah.
Totally.
Hey, that's me. I've done between 37 and 45 deals the past 3 years.
And that's a great number.
Dylan's the richest guy I know.
He's richest.
That's not true.
I mean, the way a lot of people are trending though, Dylan, you will be very soon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Well, a good topic to this too, and I put this in the Slack, and this is obviously going to be personal to me, but it's a good talking point, is like, you know how people always say like, I wonder if I would have taken that risk, and they never know because they never actually took the risk.
Yeah.
The opposite of that is, okay, what if I would have stayed at my old W-2 job and I would have maxed out all of my HSAs, IRAs, 401ks, and like just did like everything you could have done. Right. And I got very specific. I went back to the year I graduated, promotions, 401k matches. And long story short is, even if I would have done it for a decade and I was 100% long in equities, this SPY, my net worth would have been about 8x, 7x lower than it is today.
Really?
Just playing in the safe route, which I don't think everyone can say that, right?
Yeah.
But like, you got to be able to quantify, is it going to be worth it? Can you extrapolate that into the future?
Yeah.
You just said if I only invested in like S&P 500?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
This max long equities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you just max your IRA, so that's how much per year?
So it ranges. Like a Roth, it's like 6,500 blended, and then traditional is like close to 20 now. A 401k is like 18.5 plus your employer match, and HSA is like 7,500.
Okay, so it's like 30 grand a year.
Yeah, it was around, like to your point, like a $300,000 contribution, and the balance. You know, I don't want to actually say because then people can back in what my net worth is, but
yeah, it's about 45 million. Dylan's very rich.
Dylan's close to 50 million.
Close to 50 million. Yeah, he's just a
He's
sleeper.
jet shopping.
It's in that range.
He's shopping jets.
He's 1 to 50 million.
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
Well, that's
Yeah.
He's like a politician.
That's an interesting
Yeah,
point, Dylan, because the thing I've realized too with like personal wealth in this business is unless you start a lending business or really figure out how to make a good amount of money, kind of like what you, Mike, and Dan have done, the rental properties for me are the main turbo driver of my net worth. Like I do pretty well. Yeah, like that. But I also carry a good amount of cash just because I like to be like safe and stuff. But if you really look at the wealth building in the real estate side, if you can get these assets at a straight up discount day one and force the value and stack the equity, you can become a multimillionaire. And it's not like unreasonable to assume that, because you're buying properties at scale faster than the average person who's going to buy one rental a year. You're getting that equity day one because of your skill set. And if you do that for 5 years, it would be almost hard to not be a multimillionaire because of you're just, the numbers are the numbers. Let's say you buy one rental a month, which is not that hard if you're doing marketing, right? Mm-hmm. And your average, you're getting a $40,000 to $50,000 discount day one. I mean, do that times 12. It's like
it adds up quick.
Yeah.
And you get to cherry pick the best assets and all that stuff. Yeah.
Micah didn't even have a loan for that. They're underwriting right now that it's probably worth $250. I bought for $150 and needs $5,000 for the renovation.
Yeah, $95,000. Yeah,
exactly. So, and like when we do the refi on it, like I'm just going to do rate and term. And even if you were out 10 grand, would you trade 10 grand out of pocket for 90,000 of equity?
100%.
Yeah. Like some people are just like, no, it doesn't cash flow. Not a full burr. So it's not a good deal. I'm like, you're an idiot. So
dude, the people who think they can still do the full burr consistently every month are full of shit. Yeah. Most of my burr deals, I have money out on the street into them, and that's okay. And I look at the cash on cash off the money I have and the equity.
Well, the funny thing is people will fight you on that, but then they'll go and like buy stocks.
Yeah.
Like that's money going out that you have no immediate upside on. Your upside only happens if there's actual growth.
Exactly. And there's no dividend.
Yeah, there's no dividend. Yeah, you can have that real estate equity on day one, like the day that you buy, if you buy correctly.
100%.
I think that's the balance that exists in the home buying sort of company where there's a lack of enterprise value.
Huge lack.
The whole concept of enterprise value and your business value became very, very popular over the past few years with like the rise of Cody Sanchez and Alex Ramosi and all like the business buying trends, right? And people are trying to roll up these businesses to have these big multiples on their exits. But the funny thing is with a wholesaling and flipping business that doesn't really exist, I've yet to meet someone that's actually sold a wholesaling or flipping business for like any kind of real money. But the difference is you get the opportunity to buy discounted assets, which can fundamentally do the same thing.
Which is your enterprise value.
Yeah. Which is your enterprise value, right? It's just on a personal level. It's not actually in your business. And you do it in smaller chunks. So instead of having a $5 million little exit or $50 million exit, if you were doing a slam dunk, you can build out an equity over a period of time. And you can just do that by like adding $100,000 in equity every time you buy a discounted property. Because the funny thing is too, is people will say like doesn't cash flow, you have to take out debt, all these sort of things. Do you really think that all these companies that can trade at massive multiples don't come with some kind of their own headache or their own kind of implied risk, right? If you guys ever talk to somebody that's actually sold a business for like a major multiple, the amount of work and effort that goes into that sale process alone, let alone building the business, just the sale process is insane.
It's a lot.
And like what can happen is like, it can take like a year to sell your business to private equity or whatever. They're going to go through, they want you to prove the track record. They want to have you like show all these different things to show you weren't just like a one-hit wonder, right? Especially if you've only been in business for a couple of years. You can have like a bad quarter and the valuation of your business will drop like 50%. And they're like, we said 50, we're only going to give you 25 million now. Right. Which is still cool.
You take your foot off the gas pedal while you're dealing with all their bullshit requests.
While you're running your business.
And then by the end of it, and most guys will say by the end of it, say the initial offer was at 17x or something. By the end of it, you're at 11x, or whatever. I mean, those are still great numbers, but it's not usually what you went into it thinking.
That's like an extreme. If anything, you're probably more like it started at a 7. Now you're selling it at a 3.
Yes. Yeah.
And there will be a lot of people that are like, God damn, why'd I even sell? Because I should have just kept it.
And you got to pay tax on that.
And you got to pay taxes. There's no benefits there.
Well, the thing with the rentals too, and who knows how long this will last in the duration with, politics and whatnot, but you can 1031 your gains until you kick the bucket, right? And then you get a stepped up basis. And, like I said, that's a tale as old as time. Who knows if that will last long term? But if you really think about, and I'm in the middle of doing my first 1031 now, and it's like, you're going to have to pay tax eventually, most likely, or whatever. You just basically kick the can down the road. But in the time of your rental journey, if you can take $100,000 gain, not pay tax, trade that into a better asset for a higher return, and then just keep doing that every 5 years, you do that for 30 or 40 years and you never have to work again. And your kids' probably are never working again because there's so much wealth that's been accumulated. And that's the value in the rental property game. And the biggest objection I always hear is, I don't want to manage tenants. And managing tenants sucks if you have bad tenants and bad assets. But if you have good assets and good tenants, I've found that it's really not that hard to manage them. That it's really a two issue. If you have a shitty tenant with bad credit and unpredictable income, there's always going to be a problem. If you have an old building that breaks, that's also going to.
Yeah. And if you have a shitty property, you're going to get shitty tenants.
Yeah. It kind of goes hand in hand. Yeah, exactly.
That's the game.
Well, I feel like kind of the unknown issue with that, or the unspoken issue with that, isn't always just like the management of it, because that is fixable. But where it does become a problem is you just have the overhead that goes into maintaining the properties,
Yes.
like the actual like physical asset.
CapEx.
And that's one of the reasons that you have these sort of like legacy properties in a lot of places that are just like rundown pieces of shit. It's because sure, the kids inherited it, right? But what is the actual cash situation for them to be able to maintain this 1940s commercial building that has, triple net tenants in it? Even if it cash flows well, do they want to write a $60,000 check to redo the entire side of this thing? That's up to them to decide, right? And that's where it gets very, very tricky when it comes to like maintaining that wealth over a long period of time in real estate, is you have to actually literally physically maintain it. Otherwise it just goes down.
I think that goes by,
And you have to save for that every month or else you're going to be fucked,
Mm-hmm.
right? You got to, and that's where I see a lot of guys make the mistake. I have a buddy of mine who will go unnamed, great guy, but he's always like, oh, my rentals make $7,000 a month. I'm like, no, they don't. They don't make $7,000 a month. I said, they'll make $2,000 a month once you fucking get the bill, right? And you might not get the bill till 3 years from now. But like we had a property last year where it was not that profitable, but I got a bill for $14,000 to redo the boiler because it was on some fancy boiler system. And my cash flow on that property is gone for the next 5 years. And that's okay, right? But a lot of landlord, and we buy a lot of houses from silly landlords in this business because they don't have the money for these CapEx situations. And then they have to sell it at a discount and they hook their profits, but they really lost their profits when they sold the house $100K below what it was worth. So
the amount of people who have like 40 doors, but less than $20,000 in an account is mind blowing to me.
Oh, dude.
It's mind blowing to me.
I don't know how they can do that. That's unfucking real.
And that's like what you see with on like the buyer side. This is something really interesting on the lending side. And our loan officers always get super frustrated by this. They're like, yeah, we had this great borrower that came in, that they have great experience, all this stuff. 635 credit and like $17,000 to their name, but they flipped 50 houses in the last 3 years.
How is that possible?
I don't know, but it is a recurring theme.
They either buy bad deals or spend a lot of money.
What if you have a borrower come to you? Let me ask you this as a lender, because you guys are doing a shitload of loans. If there's a borrower that comes to you for a loan, what's the average amount of money these borrowers have in their bank account with all their businesses and their assets and their bullshit? What like $100,000, $200,000?
Less than $100,000.
No fucking way, dude.
It's very rare unless they're buying a big asset as a purchase.
Yeah, I would say most of the bank statements that we see are between 40 and 60,000. And that's if they have any money. It's also common for us to get ones they have like 17 grand.
Yeah.
And they're like a professional flipping company.
What if they have like 700K? You don't see that much?
Rarely.
Not very often, very rarely. But the funny thing is Daniel will have the guy, you can always tell on the phone by just how they talk. You have the guy like, this guy will be good. And then he submits an 850 credit, 2.5 million in the bank. You're like, oh, bro, easy. Yeah, like those are like the best loans, but that is the major minority.
Do they count money outside of like a checking account? Like if they have a 50,000 in stocks or whatever?
They can, but none of these people do, Dylan.
Yeah,
what?
Ever. That doesn't have it.
Yeah.
A lot of these people that are flipping or they're just investing, they don't have like a portfolio of stocks or any other type of asset. Like they're just, I would say for the vast majority, not all of our people, for the average 90 percentile person, like they're just coming in with like $28,000. They want to flip a $150,000 house, and that's all they got.
How could you even do that? I'd be freaking out if that was the case because you have no fucking money.
Like literally what their game is. So like they'll have some rentals. You'll have people that are like Dan described that own 10 rental properties. So they'll have $500,000 in equity, right? So they're paper wealthy in some capacity, but they're very cash poor, right? But their game actually becomes that they are trying to flip the next house to pay off how underwater they are on the house that they were just finished flipping, right? And so like they're kind of like chasing the knife down. But then they always have like, well, if I sold all 7 that I have on the market right now, I'm going to have $300,000. And they're not wrong. But the problem is that they're trying to get into the next project to keep their business and everything going while they're waiting for that to happen. So it's just constant like this cascading trail of trash.
And I don't think they ever get out of it. For the average flipper, that's all they do is flip. I just don't think there's no way out of it.
That's fucking crazy to me.
Dan, to your point, what we do is like if all they do is flip, but if my back was against the wall, you could dial up the phones or the mail or whatever, and be like, go rip a $30,000 assignment just from work, you know?
Sure.
So
yeah, a lot of people don't want to do that.
I think it's very important to have the skill set of marketing and sales in any business and in this business. Because if you're a flipper, you don't market or sell. All you do is flip. And having that arm in your business is how you can turn the faucet on. And I think for all of us, that piece is how we built wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We didn't build wealth buying from other wholesalers. We built it by going and finding our own stuff, cherry picking the best deal to keep, flipping the good ones, and then wholesaling off the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and to like tie that into what Dylan was talking about before, where it's like, what's the other upside that you could have had if you just kind of did like the traditional investing? That is where the biggest potential gain comes from, is you get that skill set, right? Because if you were kind of doing the safe route, everyone always thinks of investing as in terms of like financial growth, right? Which is true. But there's also the investing in yourself, which gives you the ability to have that financial growth by putting in work, as opposed to just like checking a spreadsheet or a website or whatever every day. And that's what gives that compounding effect even more though than like your investment decisions rather.
That's crazy. I just still can't believe, because I'm thinking like, if I'm buying a project, I'm so conservative with the numbers. I'm like, I'll decline a deal before I like take off more than I can chew. And I just, like I said, that's just like how I've always been.
That's why you've been here 10 years.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly why you have longevity.
I don't understand that. I'm like, how could you fucking roll the dice? Like, I'm like, I lost money on a flip last month out here and it was like $4,000. But I bought that deal and I had like 3 backup plans on it in case it didn't work out. And it ended up working out and I sold it. I just lost a little bit. But I'm like, that was one loss. And I've lost on a few others, but I don't understand. I was looking at, I'll give you an example and I digress. But I was looking at a wholesale deal yesterday from this guy out here. I flipped a house down the street and I bought it for $420,000. I put in about 10 to 15K. It was just a Cosmo rehab. And I sold it for $560,000. I think it made 50 or 60 grand net after all the bullshit out in Washington. This wholesaler had a house. He was asking $475,000. It's a $550,000 house because this one is smaller. And I'm like, I like the area. So I emailed him back. I'm like, hey, like, do you have any room on the price? And blah, blah, blah. He's like, no, I got it for $450,000. At least I'll tell you it's $460,000. I'm like, nobody's going to buy this for $460,000 because the fucking value is $550,000 and it needs 25 grand. Nobody's going to make, you cannot make, it is impossible even if you paid cash.
Greg, just keep track until he falls out of contract and call the seller yourself.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, even if you paid cash for that house, you will make 20 grand if you paid cash.
Which at that price point is not a very good return. Like,
no, not even sort of.
Like at all.
No, it's not worth it. The fuck 20, you can make 20 grand panhandling down the street.
You really could. Yeah. You could do it hooking down in Aurora Avenue, dude. Like, probably do that in a weekend.
Yeah. Go get a rub and a tug and then get out of there, you know? But like, it's like crazy, dude. I don't get it.
Did that wholesaler reach out to you because he knew you bought that property down the street, or is this just like a mass marketing thing?
No, I'm on his email list and he sends out like a gazillion deals a week. And I normally ignore him, but this one was in Marysville. And I'm like, oh, I love Marysville. And I'm like, fuck, I told him, I'm like, dude, if you can get the price down to like $420 to $430, I'll drive out there and walk it and give you an answer on the spot. But I cannot even consider paying even $450, what you have in an escrow for. I can't fucking make those numbers work.
Yeah. Well, you're seeing like there's 2 parts there, right? So that's obviously a regular wholesaler issue, but you are still seeing people that are disillusioned about what they think their real estate's worth now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like this has been one of our big problems is the number of people that have come in that have had a certain valuation expectation, and then we get the appraisal back or even like the BPO back for doing a short-term deal. And it's like not even close.
Yeah.
Right. And the problem is they're looking at comps for stuff that was like years ago. I own a bunch of properties in this area. Like I know what it's worth. I was like, yeah, but the last one you bought was in 23. And so it just becomes like people cling onto it, right? Especially I would say when they are the borrowers like we talked about before that don't have a ton of money, that are kind of stretched. Those are the ones who tend to try for that the most because they're desperate.
But even in that situation, like, especially out in Washington and New York, well, New York is different, but like, I don't even really look at sold comps in Washington. I mostly look at pendings right now because the market's so weird, and actives. Like I'll look at sold maybe a month old, maybe 2 months, but I get these comps sent to me from whole. I'm like, dude, that comp was from 2024, brother. Like, what the fuck are you?
Yeah. Even March of the same, of 25, like you can't know.
I wouldn't even look at it. I don't even care. Yeah. And then I look at too, this, like the other thing that people don't realize is like, you look at a sold comp, like that's a piece of data, right? You could put that in an appraisal report and go nuts over it. How long did that comp take to sell? And then I'll go back and I'll look and I'll be like, oh, it went listed in January and then it went closed escrow in fucking July. I'm like, dude, that was 7 months, days on market. What's your holding cost, bro? What's your monthly on that? Like, you fucking people don't realize that. Like, $2,500 a month times 7, that's an interest line item, plus the fucking payoff amount, plus the points. I think the fucking numbers, at least in Washington and New York, it's so expensive, the soft costs. People just don't realize that shit. And you need to buy these houses fucking deep or else you're not going to make money.
Like, to your point, I'll see my profit on a flip that I've done. And by the way, I hate flipping. I'd rather just assign, but you have to do some of the flipping. But I'd be like, okay, lender made 25K. I also made 25K.
Yeah.
But the lender fucking, obviously you can't say they didn't do anything, but that seems like a much nicer path. Yeah.
They gave you the money.
Yes. They gave you the money. The money guy is definitely in a better position because they're protected too.
Yeah. Well, that's because he's protected. And it's like, the lender on mine made more than me on the one that the second to last one, the one that I lost on, and he made 14 and a hook and I lost money, and that's fine because normally I'm making 80 to 100 and he's making fucking 15. So
right. They balance themselves out. Right. Like,
but he always makes 15.
He always makes 15.
He always makes 15.
Mike's point, though, I think he's trying to get at is like, yes, okay, there's a financial reward, but like developing your skill sets, you can maybe take that to a new business and like, okay, maybe like 3 to 5 years you broke even, but now you have something where you can make maybe 7 figures a year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I always do the test. Like, we all know how to do like off-market marketing. Like, let's just say mail, for example. We all know how to mail, right? It's pretty simple, but you really got to know. It's a kind of nuanced and simple at the same time. I always kind of fuck around on ChatGPT and I'm like, let's say I took my mail knowledge and I just mailed for plumbing leads and I sold those leads to plumbers. My question to me, and I haven't done this, it's like, I spend 10 grand on mail. What could I get an ROI from that? Like if I was a plumber, right? I would be curious to see if you send somebody an offer to come to their house to inspect their fucking boiler, how many people would call? Like what? Because all we know is real estate, right? At least me.
Mm-hmm. I think the numbers still work and they're probably more, the response rate is probably more favorable for the plumber. I think the piece why you don't see that is because most plumbers, just like most business owners, don't understand the systems to do that. Because all of a sudden, if you did that, like I know a guy, not a plumber, that did something similar, and he's like, "I'll never do it again because my phone wouldn't stop ringing." And he's like, "I hated it,
dude. You're making all that money."
Yeah, exactly. Because they just don't know. They don't have an answering service. They don't know how to do it, and so they just don't.
That's a business opportunity right there.
It is a business opportunity.
Well, that's the whole thing for like buying a business stuff. Is you have all these freaking dorks that work for Google that have never run a business before that think that they fancy themselves a systems person, right? So they go and they buy up like a roofing company that's across the country from where they live. This is off of a thing that Dylan sent earlier. Yeah. They buy like a roof company. So like across the country, they have no idea how to do it. But they're like, I'm going to install a CRM and run marketing and do all this stuff. Even though I live in Northern California, this is in St. Louis, right? And we're going to have a kick-ass roofing business. And because I don't want to get an SBA loan, I'm going to convince this poor blue collar guy to sell me his life work on seller financing. I'm going to pay him $10 million on like a 5-year term with whatever. And then sure enough, he goes tits up. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And the business goes to shit.
Yeah.
Right. That's what these people believe. They can actually do this, even though they have no idea how to do it in actuality.
If you're the original seller, I don't know why you would have agreed to get a long-term payout like that.
Yeah, I would not.
Because you probably know he's destined for failure, right? Like,
especially if he doesn't have any background or anything to do with roofing. That's the biggest thing.
Well, because then there's systems and then there's operation. You could systematize something on GPT and get mental masturbation mode, but then you have to operate the fucking business and understand. Like that's why I think in real estate you have a big advantage if you're like an active flipper wholesaler and then you go into something else, because if you know how to operate these crazy sellers and these asshole buyers and all the vendors that need to get paid, and then you take those operation skills and your marketing skills and some decent systems, you could go into another industry in theory and do decent off the bat. I don't think you'd hit it out of the park right away, but I think the value to doing that would be like, if you know your cash conversion cycle could be like way quicker in like a roofing business and your income's more predictable, like the value is there, right? It's not like, oh, you're going to make more money right away.
Well, absolutely. That's what private equity companies do, right? Is they understand how to stand up those business systems, but they have people in-house that like that's what they do. Like they will have somebody.
Exactly.
And so like this is the whole, my only personal exposure to this is with the acquisition.com stuff. But they like have somebody in their office that like her role is she's the head of customer success.
Yeah.
So her entire thing is in every company, she runs the customer success teams in all those basically to work on the actual like narrative that the customer goes through when they come in. They have like a marketing person that just does like he doesn't do the marketing for all the companies. He runs the marketing teams and basically builds the playbook that they stand up for marketing in every single company that they buy.
Yeah. Well, and I think along the lines of that is you don't buy a business you don't think you could be successful in, right? Or you don't have a reasonable track record. So, in Alex Hormozi's case, there's probably businesses they say no to because the team that they've built isn't going to make that business successful. So you just walk away. Just because you're a Google systems guy doesn't mean you should be doing things with roofs. What lets you believe that you're going to be successful at that? I think you need to have some alignment with that. Systems don't just matter. Like that's a big part, but get to scale first.
It's because they went to Stanford, and that dude just went to community college, bro.
There's some elitist stuff to that for sure.
A little bit.
Well, even with like a blue collar business, with like a roofing business, like the real thing in there, like obviously you got to get leads and shit, but you got to fucking have a good roofer who can put the fucking roof on. Like you put the roof on backwards.
You got to have good people that know how to do it.
If you buy the business, your key man doesn't go fucking start his own thing either. Like, that's the other part. Like,
brother, the roof's on upside down.
Yeah, buddy, it just rained and now I'm making an insurance claim. Like it's like, what are you doing, fella?
Well, that's such a great point though, Greg, because that exists in every business, right? I think people oversimplify what business actually is. And you see this in the wholesale and flipping company as well, where people, they focus so heavily on the leads part, right? And they don't actually focus on the sales or how do you actually get a seller to closing, right? Like how do you actually find a buyer and make sure that it's a truly mutually beneficial deal? If you do have to close on it, what does flipping a house actually look like?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like people tend to silo themselves into like just like the project management or like the deliverability of the product, right? Or on the marketing piece. But there's like so much that goes on in between. Yep. And if you don't have that whole package, you're not going to have any kind of business, right? I think that's why you see people that try to specialize in these businesses that just do one of those things or the other, right? You'll see like the guy that wants to flip houses. They go, well, I don't really like finding deals anymore. I'm just going to become a general contractor. You find like the wholesaler that can't figure out how to find buyers or sucks at sales, they start an agency. They do a cold calling company or a PPC agency or whatever, right? But the funny thing is, they get into that business and now they still have the same problem where they don't have a good customer experience and the people they bring in suck.
Yeah, they suck at sales.
Right? And they hate, they drop their clients and their churn's huge and everything else. Like that exists across every facet of business and people don't understand that.
You know how many times I've been tempted to like, you see like a next door post, like in I don't know, say it's an affluent area. Like, oh, I just got an HVAC quote and they range from 40 to 60K. And I'm just like, okay, well I'll have my HVAC guy go do it for 20.
Yeah.
and I'll save them 20 grand and I'll make 20 grand, it's just like, I don't know. Yeah. It's just stuff like that.
So the funny thing is though, Dylan, you say that, but this goes back to what we were talking about before when Greg said you make the 70,000 in the house, so people don't see the cost of marketing, the overhead, everything else. Because on that deal, the $20,000 spread, you have to pay the guy. Right? You have to pay for all the other guys that didn't make any money that day. You have to pay for Kathy, who works at the office that does the billing, answer the phones, do everything else. You probably have your own CRM, probably have some licensing costs. You have the truck that's going to break down next month that you have to account for that you don't know is going to break down yet. Right? And so that 20K spread difference realistically is like maybe 6.
Can I make an observation here? This is why flipping houses is so hard. Is because we rely on Dylan's HVAC guy, who are generally unreliable dudes that don't know how to operate a business and they're willing to do it cheaper than the next guy. And they don't understand that their truck's going to break or that their wife's going to leave them or that their kid's going to need to, go to the hospital. And so they have no money. And then it's so hard to manage those guys. And then you have to find a new one every year because they're out of business.
One contractor told me, he's like, hey, I'll do it, but I need $50 for gas money to get out there. I'm like, never mind.
Dude, I had that happen so many times. Are you kidding me? That's like once a week.
One of the first houses that I flipped before I was working with Dan, the guy called me. He needed me to come pick him up from his house and drive him to the house because his truck broke down.
Hey, dude.
So I went and picked him up, This is funny because back then I drove a black BMW for my Boeing days. And so I go and pick up my crusty contractor in my black BMW. We're like squeezing his tools and shit in the back of this car.
Oh my God.
Right? Nothing fits in this thing. And I go and I drop him off at this shitty house out in the South Hill. And he like works all day. Then I had to go pick him up and drive him home.
Yeah. Not a red flag at all. Adult daycare.
Fucking adult daycare, dude.
Not a red flag at all. But you know what? He actually did do a pretty good job.
Well, that's good.
But those were the issues that kind of came with that person.
What do you have to do if he has to go to Home Depot 6 times in the same day? There's what my contractors do. They can't fucking figure it out.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, at that point, we kind of had everything. But that was only one time. He got his truck fixed like over the weekend. It was good.
It's funny you guys say that, the Home Depot thing. I have a buddy, and this guy is very rich. I'm not going to dox him right now online, but he's very rich. But he's kind of goofy, and he's got an original personality. He still buys materials at Home Depot and does the whole runaround. And I'm always like, dude, you're worth like $20 million. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you going to Home Depot chasing your like Mickey Mouse contractors around? And like, I've always like from day one, like I'm not a perfect rehabber at all, but I've always, any contractor I use, we're going to figure out the material and the labor, and you're going to buy all the fucking materials when I pay you. And I'm not going to run to Home Depot once because that's just going to fuck me up. Like if I just keep I got to order them online and then hope they get fucking delivered. It's like, no. You're going to buy the fucking materials. I'm going to give you the money up front for the materials. I've just never been tempted, even locally, to go to Home Depot and run around and get fucking materials, even if the house was my neighbor's house, because that's defeating the whole point of hiring a contractor.
This is very true.
Yeah. And it's always just been like, whether it's the neighbor's house, and the same with rentals. If I had a rental house and it was my neighbor, I'm still calling the fucking contractor. Yep. Like, no, it doesn't matter where the rental is. Like, I'm going to call the contractor and get the expert there to fix it. Like, I don't fucking know how to fix a fucking HVAC. So I've always just treated the business, like the rental business, the flipping business, like I'm going to get a decent contractor to help me, whether it's next door or it's across the fucking country in New York. Like, I'm going to start with that. And I've noticed that I've definitely gotten burned by contractors. Like, everyone's going to get burned. But I've gotten burned less than other people because I've tried to find contractors that are willing to go into my little janky system. And if they can fit into that system, they can probably be successful with me. The guys that I've gotten fucked on are the guys who wouldn't do that. And I really wanted to hire them because nobody else was available. And I ended up getting fucked, right? And that's just what I've learned.
Basically, all of my real estate losses have been contract related. Like if I think about it,
really?
Yeah, it's pretty much
okay.
Like the deals that we lost on, it's mostly because I had to redo a lot of the contractor work. Or they didn't do the work at all in the first place.
He did some shit job and he took your money.
And so it was never the buy side, never the financing side, never the underwriting side. It's mostly the contractors.
Yeah. I had a contractor recently, like over the summer. This was rare, but this was very like, I didn't see this coming basically in the business. So I had a handyman who was just a handyman, but he gave me good prices on like our rentals when their shit was breaking. And I asked him one day, I was actually boots on the ground in New York. And I said, could you do bigger rehabs? And I had this vacancy coming over with an eviction, and it was a fucking absolute shithole. And I said, could you do like a rehab, just a condo, inside, sheetrock and all that? He's like, oh yeah, I can do that. Cause he's only done like punch list items for me. I go, okay. And I've known this guy for years.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of guy I had to give gas money to. And I'm like, what would you charge me labor and materials for this whole? And this is a shell inside. Shell hazmat suits, like just a shell. He goes, with everything, $25,000. I go, you're telling me $25,000 for the materials and the labor for this whole fucking thing, condo? He's like, yeah. I said, okay, that's a good. In my head, I know it's 40 at least. I know it's 40. It's a fucking gut because it's like 600 square feet. And I'm looking at him. We're like looking at each other, just chin to chin. And I'm like, you're sure you can do this for 25 grand? He's like, yeah, I can get this done in 3 weeks. I'm like, fucking deal, buddy. That works for me. I say, okay, go to lunch with him. Go to lunch. We have a little sandwich. And I'm going to give you $10,000. You're going to buy the materials. And I've known this guy. Like, this is why I was so loose with it.
You just give him $10,000?
Gave him fucking 10 bananas. And he takes the money, runs away,
That's about right.
Takes the money, and then goes and fucking spends it. I like forgot about the property. Like, I was so busy. I was like, I'll check in on him in 3 weeks when it's done, whatever. I know the guy. And he just ghosted me, not getting back, not sending me pictures. And now I'm back here and I'm like, fuck, like what's going on with that project? Now, while this is going on, he's like, I'm not really giving a fuck, but he's texting me saying like, oh yeah, we'll be done soon. And he hasn't sent me any pictures. I'm like, can you send me pictures? Like, my phone's broken, whatever. So I send my fucking buddy over there and I go, hey, can you go walk this site for me and see what's cooking? There's no lock on the door. It's just a vacant shithole. Like it's such a shitty complex. Like you don't even need to. So he goes in there, FaceTimes me. He goes, what has Alex done? I said, I don't know. He said, it's almost done. He's like, buddy, this is a shell. And I go, oh, God.
No.
So I call him and he goes, we're not even done yet, by the way. We're just getting started. I go, hey, man, what the fuck, Alex? Like, you said you were going to, like, there's no materials here. Like, I've known you for years. Like, you just absolutely, like, lied to me. He's like, oh, I spent the money already. I'm like, well, what did you spend the money on? Like, you didn't buy materials or else they'd be in the fucking job site. He's like, I spent it on something personal. I go, well, dude, what the fuck? What the fuck? So then he ghosts me. He takes off. So now I'm like, fuck. And I get my real contractor, the guy who does like my fix and flips. He's like, oh, Greg, this is 45 grand at least. And I know that's the number. And now it's really 55 grand. So because I lost the 10.
You lost 10.
Yeah. So then I just sold the property as is and I'm buying the neighbor's place now. But you get burned even if you're experienced is the point. Even if you're experienced, you're going to get burned once in a while. And that's part of the game.
Yeah. I don't think we've had any bad losses necessarily because of contractors. Typically it's because we buy stuff that we shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Usually it's either the buy side or the sell side gets soft. Yeah.
My first loss was because I ignored every warning sign from people saying I shouldn't buy the property because I'd already flipped 3 houses. So I thought I was the smartest guy in the fucking room. And
there is something to be said about like, everything we talked about, people who don't know what they're doing. And there is something to be said for if you're going to pursue any business, especially this business, to have some kind of unwavering belief in yourself that you're going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. You probably
have
should.
to. Like, otherwise you'll never do anything in business because like there is an implied level of risk, whether it's like personal, financial, social, whatever. There's a social risk to the business. I was actually talking about this with someone recently. And they said the hardest thing about their business is reaching out to like people around them to ask for their business. And they're like, I always feel like I'm doing like a bait and switch because I'll call them like, oh, hey, what's going on? Whatever. We make small talk. And I go, well, anyway, this is what I do. And then now I'm like, if it's like awkward. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, you want to know the answer to that? Don't make small talk. Just send them a text and say like, hey man, hope you're doing good. I just want you to know that I started a new business. This is what I'm doing. If that's something that you would be interested in, like I'd love to talk to you. Otherwise, no worries. Hope you're doing well. And do it that way. Now it's not awkward because you're not trying to like, it doesn't feel as sleazy.
Bait and switch them.
Pretend that you're bringing up for the original reason. Yeah.
Just be straight up with them.
You just cut to the quick, because like if you go the other way, they're like waiting for you to pitch them on fucking Amway or whatever the new MLM is that you got involved in.
I've noticed with private money, that's actually been a thing I've heard people like, kind of flop on. It's like, they're like, hey, like I got a deal. Do you want to fund it? Like, you could say that and maybe get rejected, maybe get accepted. But I've always done like, not that I'm some expert at it, but I've been like, hey, I got a property. This is back when I was getting started, but like, hey, like I got a property. I'm looking for a lender on it. Do you know anybody who'd want a loan on this thing? And then I would just kind of like indirectly ask them. And then they'd be like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I got this property. I'm going to probably put 30 grand into it and it's worth whatever, 400. And I'm looking for, 230 grand. Anyone who'd want a loan on that, I'll give them 12%. Well, totally. And then it's like, it's not really that awkward because you're not really asking them, but you're kind of asking them at the same time.
You're presenting the idea to them.
It's a good sales tactic.
It is a good sales tactic.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a name for that. I'm not good at the terminology for stuff. But well, right on, guys. Well, Greg, episode flew by with you today. 45 minutes.
It did,
dude. I love these once a month. It's just like get on here and it's like a P90X real estate trade.
It is. Dude.
Like, literally, I'm over here fucking sweating.
Greg's just throwing it at us, talking about bananas.
Yeah, I you guys are. This is a good show. Like, I don't listen to a lot of real estate podcasts anymore. Like, selectively, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on the show, but I do listen to your guys' podcast quite often, and I think it's very good. I appreciate
that. So, we have a loyal following, that is for sure. But then we have a specific vibe.
Well, I'm glad you didn't turn into Bigger Pockets, where it just turned into an absolute dumpster fire, and it's just watered down garbage, quite frankly.
Once you go woke, you go broke.
Yeah. And a lot of advertisements.
And a lot of advertisements.
Damn right.
They got bought by private equity. But hey, at least Josh Dorkin made his money. Good for him.
He did. Good for him. Yeah. That was his goal.
Right on. Well, Greg, really quick, just because you're on here, anything you want to plug? Instagram, your show?
Yeah, the Real Estate Investing Fast Track on Spotify, Apple, and then Greg Helbeck Real Estate Investing, or REI Greg Helbeck, whatever. Just Google my name on YouTube, my name, and I got a ton of videos we put out weekly. So if you want to follow me, that's the best way to do it.
I can tell by your refined pitch that content is definitely your focus. So, well done.
Yeah. Go watch it though.
Right on. All right, Greg. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Thanks, Greg.
Right on, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
See y'all.
See you, everybody.
This episode is sponsored by Sir Lancelot LLC, also known as SLA Capital, which, if you didn't know, is Dan and I's private lending company. So yes, we are sponsoring our own show, but what you going to do about it? It is our private lending company that offers hard money and DSCR loans to real estate investors of all types. So you can be a new investor, an experienced investor. You can be buying flips. You can be buying rentals, whatever. We can do everything. And not only that, but the rates that we offer are just as competitive, if not cheaper, than pretty much every other company out there. So whatever big company you've been working with, bring us their term sheets and I guarantee you that we can probably beat it. We have the same connections they do. We just don't have all the overhead and middlemen. So if you want to come and check us out, go to slacapital.com/keys and I will know that you came from the show. And by seeing that you came from here, when you get to closing, you will save $500 on your first loan with us. So slacapital.com/keys, we would love to fund your next deal. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you want more from us, you can shoot us a follow on Instagram. I am at Mike_invest. Dan is at InvestorMan Dan. And Dylan is at Dylan_does_deals. Shoot us a follow and send us a DM to let us know what you think of the show.